Capitec CEO Gerrit Fourie argues unemployment rate is as low as 10% and not 32.9%. To me, this looks like a stunt to gain public attraction. I don't see the point of what he is saying publicly. I don't get it. But let's go into it so we can break it down, so we can unpack this. Now, he claims that he wants the real statistics to be the ones that get published and not this 32.9% that's being propagated by media. My thing is though is that the way he's going about it, it's as if he's tone deaf. I don't understand. Is he trying to get public attention? Is he is he trying maybe to get a promotion? I don't get it. Because here's my thing: South Africa already tracks informal sector labor. They know about it. There's the formal sector and the informal sector. So for him to publicly go out and then say that unemployment rate is as low as 10%, what are you saying, man? Like I don't understand. Are you trying to gaslight people? So I've got notes for this, but there's this. I want to go through them one at a time so we can break it down. We need to break it down because unless I comb through this to get it through, it's gonna be surface level understanding, and that's not the point I'm trying to get across. So here are the numbers. In South Africa, we have the Spaza shops industry, which is worth 190 billion annually, and it has 100,000 outlets across the country. That's a statistic that is known. But my thing is, 80%, 90% of these Spaza shops are owned by Somalis. And the others, like other foreigners, like Pakistanis. And it's like only 8% is actually owned by South Africans. So for for the Spaza shop sector, I don't think it technically applies to contributing too much to the unemployment rate of South Africa. I don't think it applies. Because when you look at it, 8% compared to the 80% that is owned by another race, another tribe, foreigners, not from South Africa, then you have to at least see it that this is some way to hoodwink South Africans into misunderstanding what's really going on. And here's the thing, I'm not throwing shade at Spaza shops. I'm not throwing shade even at the owners. We use them. We allowed them to come into our neighborhoods, non boycotted them. As far as I see it, a Spaza shop gives me better service than the current formal retailers. And they can't compete, unfortunately. And I think one of the reasons why this story is coming the way it's coming is for. Sorry, I'm losing it. But let's go back on track, right? Second part of these notes I have is the fast food sector, which is 90 billion rand and has 50,000 outlets across the country. When they say fast food and they're not implying the formal sector, they're talking about your kota places, those shacks, those shacks where they cook with gas stoves, and then you can buy a kota, or those sisters on the side of the road who give you or who sell to you a plate of food like pap, chicken or beef, whatever, with salads, and you ask yourself, how is this person in the middle of nowhere? Like, does the bank even know? Is those things? That's the sector they're talking about. And we know that sector. And here's my thing. Arguing that sector falls under employment is wrong. That's people side hustling. And they're not side hustling successfully. This is just you giving numbers. We don't know how many of those numbers are actually side hustling successfully. I'm getting too worked up. I'm getting too worked up. So so here's my thing. Fast food is a big thing in the country. Whether you're going to a McDonald's, a Spur, or some mom at the corner selling a plate of food or buying a quarter at some shack somewhere, fast food is a big business. But for you to view the informal sector's fast food area as employment doesn't make sense. These people are not collaborating. These people are not a group. This is not a corporation. This is each little person going to find themselves some little corner where they can put a shack, a tent, or something, and they can sell. And not every day do they even make a sale. So you don't know how much things of cost of input versus profits to what you don't know how much they're making. You don't know how much they're making. But another sector on this is the beauty sector, which is 10 billion rand annually. That's another one that's shady. Here's the thing, the beauty sector. If anyone remembers going to an MD, right, whether it's your grade 7 or your grade 12, it's a dance to show that it's the last year of your school, whatever, your schooling career there, whatever. But whoever's gone to these things understands that whenever people have to do their hair, their nails, their makeups, they don't go to the mall to the barber. No, no, that's too expensive. They go to some sister in some neighborhood or to her house, and they just that sister has her own setup, and then they just get that done for them. Again, unregistered, you don't know. This person could have a job. This person could have a job. You don't know. They just do this on the side, do someone's nails, do someone's hair, do someone's makeup. But it's being misinterpreted as employment. No, it's a side hustle. That's for sure, side dependent on the customers. Side hustle. Second, I mean, no. Fourth, we have the taxi industry sector, right? Which is worth 50 billion rand annually across 250,000 vehicles. This one I gotta give it for them. This is facts. This is one of the few industries completely owned by the black hands in South Africa. There's no going in. Okay, when it comes to the taxi industry, it's it's impenetrable by other races. And I know that sounds messed up, but ask anybody who's been to South Africa. It is rare for you to find what would be a vendor taxi driver or a colored taxi driver or a white taxi driver. You will most likely find a Zulu taxi driver. And I've seen this change. They have women Zulu taxi drivers, but doesn't change the fact Zulu taxi drivers, you know? And another thing is the taxi industry, they do a lot to keep their monopoly on the industry. And they get publicly shamed for it. They get put on blast by these big what's called this thing, social media brands and these magazines and these news outlets. They get portrayed as the bad person, not showing that they're fighting to keep their bread. They don't want to go about the story that way, that these people fight to keep their bread. They would rather go and say these bad people, this, that. But I'm getting away from it. I'm getting away from it. Now, the taxi industry, I'll give it that they own the sector. And in terms of employment, they employ the most. But now the taxi industry is excluded from the formal sector's benefits. You know, they are vulnerable. They don't get UIF, they don't get pension, they don't get insurance, they don't get none of these things. This person's basically a freelancer who's a permanent. That's the best way to look at it from. But it does employ a lot of people, and I don't know why. I don't know why it maybe wasn't as advanced and evolved in 2025 as it should be. But yeah, yeah. Another one that we have on this list is the multi-sector, which is worth 18 billion rand annually. What is the multi-sector? What are we talking about? We're talking about your AfriForums. We're talking about your NGOs. We're talking about your gift of the givers. We're talking about your churches. Okay, this sector is being underreported, by the way. My opinion, extremely underreported. Okay, 18 billion, please, please. With the things these organizations are being able to do, please. They clearly make more. Way, way more. But let's not go into that part. The part we're going to go into is you can't look at that as employment. Again, that's voluntary. That's volunteering work. That's what people do on their free time. You can't look at that as employment. That's messed up. That's very messed up. Now, this is where the CEO of Capitec really gets to me. This is where I'm like, okay, what? This guy is like the savings stockful industry is worth 44 billion rand annually and should be included in the employment sector. The stock fells. But flipping stock fells, man. People are saving money somewhere on the side, however they're getting it, and because they are succeeding, they now should be viewed as formally employed. The logic there, bruh. The logic. How is he thinking these things? How is he thinking? How is you saving money all of a sudden viewed as employment? Because you're in a stock fell. This is how most people, whether it's the Jews, whether it's the South Africans, the black people, this is how people are saving money by excluding the bank as the middleman. So why are you gonna view their means of saving money as a form of employment? That's fucked up. That's just messed up. Then there's another one. He says the backroom rental sector in townships. Specificity in townships. Not those ones that are one rooms in Munyaka Golf Estate, wherever, Centurion, in Birchley. No, not those ones. No, he's talking about the ones in your Tembisa, your Alex, your Sowetos. Those ones need to be viewed as employment. What? Now, I don't know if I went through this, but the backroom rental sector in township is worth 20 billion rand annually. My thing is, people worked hard to build these back rooms, and they are not being viewed. They didn't build them so that it can be publicly viewed as a business. They didn't do it so that it can be reported upon. No, this is just them helping themselves with their property, which is a big thing right now in South Africa, property. But they're helping themselves with their property on their land, leasing out rooms to people who need places to stay. I don't see how that explanation equates to employment. Doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. These things are already reported in South Africa's reporting systems, in our surveys. Like I don't get it. Why? I think this guy is trying to get attention, and the attention is trying to get. It's not positive. He's trying to get like a reaction. I don't know, but he's trying to get a negative reaction here. Now, the last thing that they reported on is the Spaza shops rental economy. Now, these are your people who rent out their garages and their land, maybe the front part of the land, to the Somalians or the Pakistanis who want to then open Spaza shops and grow them and run them successfully. Because we know that as a black South African or colored South African or white South African, you're not going to run a Spaza shop successfully. It's impossible for you. It's been rigged against you. The Somalians are doing a better job. These people buy in bulk. They come together. They trust each other and they don't bank with the banks of South Africa. You can't touch them. They're untouchable. Okay? And they're allowed to be here. It's not illegal what they're doing, which I think you should look into it. That thing, we should look into the way they're operating, personally. But it's allowed. It's happening. That sector right? That 25 billion rand sector is making more for the Spaza shop owners than the person renting out. And it can't be viewed as employment again. You can't view someone renting out a place as employment. Nah, man, no. Excuse me. So, with all the sectors I've mentioned, these are the big sectors of these situations. And in these sectors, they break down into businesses, right? And in these so-called businesses, they want the South African government to report this as formal employment. Again, it is not formal. Let me go through with you. Let me go through it with you so you understand why. The first thing is Kasi building and renovations, gates and burglar guards. First, anyone who stays in a township knows that you don't go to a business to get any of those things done for you, even the renovations. You go to a guy, a foreigner most likely, but a guy who has the skills, who's gonna do it for you at a cheaper rate. And he'll only tell you what materials you buy, and that's it. It doesn't happen the way it happens in the suburbs where there's permits, papers, inquisitions, all these things, all this red tape. It doesn't happen like that. It's relatively a smooth process in the townships, but can't be viewed as employment. Again, can't look at that as employment. Person side hustling. Not everybody's building every day. We have services like plumbing, electricians, catering, and event suppliers. Now, I will give the electricians and the plumbing and caterings, event suppliers, I'll give it that. Those are usually businesses. It is rare for you to have to hire this person as an individual. Usually, hiring a person, even though he's an individual, you will have maybe a car or a banner or a poster that formally acknowledges him as a business. Because the reason why people want to register these specific services as businesses is because of the high profitability. Now, whether or not this should be viewed as employment, I agree. Yes, this is formal employment. Whether you're an electrician privately, whether you're an electrician in a formal, like it is employment. An electrician is not a skill you wake up having. Okay, that's dangerous, and it usually pays well. So those I agree with. Moving on to the next one, we have the alcohols, taverns, and shebeens in terms of the businesses that they're talking about. Again, I have to agree. When you walk into taverns and shebeens, you will have someone sell to you and serve you. And that person, you're not tipping them. That person gets paid. They come there every day to do that job. Yes, that's employment. Whether it's formal, I think, I don't know, it should be formalized if it's not formal, but that is employment in terms of what everybody else is doing. They go into things like cultural, livestock, sangomas, and funerals. Now, we know, we know. I have to give it to them on this. Like this is where I'm like, okay, they winning this argument in this aspect because when it comes to livestock, it's rare that you're gonna have livestock and sell it and you're not a business. It's rare that you're gonna have funeral services and you are not a business. It's rare. And when it comes to the sangomas, right, they are arguing to be recognized as medical practitioners. Weird, weird. I don't know why, because they don't study the field of medicine. I don't know why, but they are arguing to be viewed as what's causing traditional medical specialists. So the way I see it, these are all businesses. These are all forms of employment. And in this one, I'm beat. I'm beat. If this is the argument, I'm beat. It pisses me off, but they are right. He is right, the Capitec CEO, in this thing where he's pissing me off because half of it is wrong anyway. But I'll give him this one here. He's right. And then we have the financial services, which is your mashonisas and your stokvels. I went through this with you again. You can't view stokvel as a business. Lending money is a business. That one I'll give it to them. For those who don't know, a mashonisa is a loan creditor, someone who can borrow money for a lender. But now it's not in the formal sector. It's in the informal sector. So why it's called that is because they used to have a bad reputation back in the day where if you didn't pay them back, you'd usually be met with some form of violence or aggressive pressure. But right now, they seem to be more mellowed out and more accepted in society than back then. Now, here's what the notes. Here's what my notes say. Let me read them for you. Among respondents who classified themselves unemployed and looking for work, 41% are coming up to 15,000 Rand a month through baking, building, and hairdressing. Where the fuck did they get these numbers? What are you talking about? Like again, I go at this again. People are not building every month. People are not people are not they're not doing these things every month. It's not a thing. It's not a thing, man. Now, when you look at things like your hairdressing, girls do their hairstyles every month. For those who have girlfriends, it's once or twice a month hairstyles, sometimes even four times a month. And these hairstyles can range from anything 300 Rand upwards to your 5,000 Rands easily. Easily. When you look at it like this, I can see the informal hairdressers pushing that type of money if they're doing expensive hairstyles on people who can afford. But then again, township economy, the same place where people will say, I'll pay you month end, but please give me now. So I don't know. I don't know if this is entirely true. I don't know. Here's my thing. With all said and done, I don't know. I don't know why this guy is saying the things he's saying. Gerrit Fourie, I don't know why the CEO of Capitec is saying the unemployment rate is as low as 10%. Why going public with this? I don't know if he's trying to gaslight the public. I don't know if he's trying to maybe have some indirect conversation with government. I don't know. But this is tone deaf. Again, like I said in the beginning, it's a very tone deaf way to go about it. I've got more notes, so I want to go through them just so that we can round this off quick. So here's the thing. Inclusion without differentiation would distort labor market analysis, which would be a hindrance on effective policy design. Okay, so there's a reason why we separate between the formal and informal sector. The formal sector has a structure and a system. And these laws, structures, and systems get created based on the stats, based on what is reported, what is known. So not differentiating between the two would make it a problem for people to create effective policies. It would be a problem. Here's the thing also. Without differentiating between formal and informal sector, you ignore structural vulnerabilities like worker protections and low productivity. Okay? The way I see it, these worker rights, being able to go to CCMA and say you have a problem with an employer, being able to go to SARS and say, I want to apply for UIF, these are all things you get through formal employment. They're not things you get through informal employment. So for you to want to mix the stats and make it one big thing, it's tone deaf. It will only make more problems down the line. I'm telling you. Here's the thing. South Africa tracks these things, right? The Quarterly Labor Force Survey, the QLFS, separately tracks informal employment and formal employment. Okay. South Africa addresses this through dual tracking. Dual tracking. We track one side, we track the other side, and we bring both informations from both sides and compare notes and then come up with a full report. So I don't know why this man Gerrit Fourie, Capitec CEO, went on to do this, went on to say this. It sounds tone deaf. I think it was just trying to gaslight a lot of people. Give people jobs, give people money and jobs, 10K easy for sitting down, even, and then go say the stuff you say. Until then, stop being tone deaf. You're gaslighting people. I was pretty emotional there about this when I read it. I read it a couple of days ago, but I just couldn't. Even right now, explaining it to you, my emotions are still getting the better of me in this because it's just my words aren't coming out right because the way this guy said this, like again, some white rich guy, CEO, is saying this, not addressing the poor people that need jobs. I don't get it. Like, tone deaf, gaslighting. You're just gaslighting, bruh. But I don't know. Let me leave it. Let me see what happens. Let me see the response of South Africans and the government. Let me see how that response is gonna be like. Let's move on to the next story. Let's just move on to the next story. So I was watching, and I was talking about them a while ago. Build One South Africa. I was watching Ayanda Ali from Build One South Africa, going to different Pick and Pay township Spaza owners, and I was watching a video of hers, and it's interesting because even the headline of that video is, let me read it for you. It says, Pick and Pay takes advantage of township entrepreneurs. And you'd wonder, what is Pick and Pay doing in the township? This is a formal business. They have cashiers, they have everything they need, they pay tax, they have it's the structure, the infrastructure, they have the accountants, the actuaries, they are big corporate. What are they doing in the township? Here are the stories. The Pick and Pay. Okay, so Pick and Pay went into townships and partnered with black spaza shop owners, South Africans, the 8% that we were talking about before, spaza shop owners, and made their spaza shops into mini market Pick and Pays. The thing is, though, most of these owners have empty shelves. The shops are empty. There's no workers. Okay, they complain of neglect and abuse from the head office, from corporate. I don't I don't know if this is Pick and Pay being the meanies they can be, or it's the black entrepreneurs not understanding the contracts and agreements they went into. I'm not sure there because she did not specify. But here's more on it. They highlighted four big Pick and Pays, which are the noisemakers. Okay, it's Motlehong, Randfontein, or is it Motlakeng? Yes, Motlakeng, Randfontein. We have your Soshanguve, Pretoria. We have your Bronkhorstspruit, Mpumalanga, and we have your Soweto, Johannesburg. The Pick and Pays in these areas are dilapidated, collapsed, dysfunctional, empty shelves, empty, empty everything. It's just infrastructure and that's it. The argument these people are making is despite everything that has happened, they are still looking for help. Some way to get help from Pick and Pay head office. Which is like, slap me once, right? Slap me twice. I mean, you know, I don't know, you know, but these people are in debt. So Pick and Pay found them okay and partnered with them, and everything was okay. And now that they were done with their so-called business, the owners are bankrupt, in debt, and are struggling to get by. Whew, you know, fool me once. But now here's a thing that needs to be considered. Pick n Pay is going through a tough time right now. They are going through a hard time. They've been closing shops, stores in different malls since the beginning of the year. It has not been a good round for Pick n Pay. Okay. But again, this is a big corporate. They should have trillions or billions in savings just for rainy days. My opinion. I also think that when it comes to the bureaucracy, the politics of Pick n Pay head office and then there's the shop owners that come afterwards, I think it's very hard to get things done, to get your point across, to get support if you're not favored by someone high up in the company. Like anything else, just because you own a Pick n Pay doesn't mean it's gonna be smooth sailing for you. It's gonna be easier for you if maybe you have more connections in head office. I think one of those reasons maybe could be that Pick n Pay owners from these townships just had no support structure outside this Pick n Pay. And I don't know if whether they abandoned whatever support structure they had before Pick n Pay made a deal with them. But right now, it's like they've got no support structure. They've got nothing to help them go by to the next month. And instead of maybe going to government or the banks, they somehow think that going back to Pick n Pay is the smarter choice. Now, Ayanda Ali is someone of relevance in today's society. So she is able to get certain messages to certain people if she needs to. They try to get Pick n Pay and Netbank to come sit down and resolve the issues with these shop owners, these storekeepers. And Pick n Pay and Netbank snubbed them. They did not even answer them back, did not even attend the meet. They don't care. Why? This is a full business owner. This is a full business owner. Why should another business owner care about another business owner? And in this murkiness of race wars and townships and suburbs, rich, poor, black, white, I don't blame Pick n Pay. I don't blame Pick n Pay. At this point, because they've been going through so much closing stores, they might be looking out for themselves. Just looking out for themselves and screw everyone else. That's capitalism and that's business, but nah, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. Here's my solution and opinion. They should come together and form a contract as those township Pick n Pay store owners. They should then go and get what would be an impossible loan, a massive loan, and they should just sell, buy products and sell. And then afterwards, maybe the first 100 customers, give these people opportunities to be shareholders and investors in your store. That way you have consistent cash flow so that you can stock up whenever you need to stock up. And as businesses gradually go out of that mud spot, you'll recover. All of them would recover. But it would have to be a team effort. I don't know how possible this is. But as for them going to sit down with Pick n Pay and Netbank, I don't see that working out for them. Honestly, we know how we know how business we know how formal sector businesses view the township sector businesses. Anyway, anyway, that's what I have to say today. Right? Gerrit Fourie, Capitec CEO. Stop gaslighting people. Stop saying things for the sake of saying them. Okay, we understand you got power, you got connections, and when you say something, it can be full blast on the news. Still, you should understand the power that comes with it. Don't just go saying stuff like that. Unemployment is a big thing in this country. And misinforming us, misrepresenting the numbers is not something, it's not good. It's most likely going to get a negative reaction from us. And as for Ayanda Ali and these pick and pay store owners, try to be more independent. Try to be more decentralized. Try to help yourselves and do for self. And as for pick and pay, well, every business, right? Every business has its day. Every dog has its day. Every business has its day. For all these big companies and corporates that screw over South Africans and black people, I know one day they will have their day. And they will feel and pray that they should have done things differently. And from what I can tell, sore losers of that nature will most likely resort to violence rather than to try and sit down and discuss how they lost. Not how they are losing, how they lost. I'm speaking in nuances, but I will leave it there. I'll leave it there. I'm going out. It's a second situation. Till the next video. Cheers.